After a week off, Spec 5 World Tour is back in time for round 6 at Circuit of the Americas. This is the 45 minutes of Circuit of the Americas brought to you by the Wrong Stuff Sim Racing team. Great to have them on board. More ways for the members to support this championship this season, and it looks like a beautiful day and a beautiful place to go racing and get this championship back into gear again. To bring you live coverage here on HJBC, David Haynes with Reese Gardner and Michael Derby. Reese, talking about that calendar, we had 5 rounds. They've had one off week. We are right back into the swing of one of the most competitive MX5 leagues I've seen on iRacing in quite some time.
Yeah, absolutely. The strength of competition just keeps getting better and better every single season. Joao Hedler making some fantastic runs this season thus far, and I'm looking forward to this second part of the season, starting, of course, at a track that many would say is a modern classic, but it is a bit polarizing, I think, on the iRacing service. It really tests the skill of a lot of these drivers, certainly tests my skill, particularly at avoiding off tracks.
Yeah, you've got all of this space around the racing circuit absolutely designed with Formula One in mind, not necessarily with stock cars, MX5s, other stuff like that. You've got some sharp curbs in a couple of places. You've got some really late apex, wide on the way in, tight on the exit kind of corners. But overall, a good facility. They're getting into qualifying right now. It's 15 minutes, 4 laps to set the grid for the 45-minute 1 pit stop race. Here's Michael Folds on his out lap. Tyre preparation probably shouldn't be a problem around here. About 3 miles in length or so.
Yeah, indeed. It's a very long circuit here using the full Grand Prix layout. And, 5.5 Ks. That's, say, about 3-ish miles, maybe a little bit over. I'm not too good on my metric to imperial conversions, but there's a lot of corner on this racetrack. A couple of long straights, but the vast majority of your time is spent in those S's in the first sector, trying your best to gear up a straight exit out of the hairpins. And speaking of the hairpins, it's going to be wide entries. You're seeing it right there as we look at Michael Chase. There's acres of racetrack on the inside on entry to the hairpins around here. So very important for you to gear up that apex and make sure that you look ahead when you're trying to take the corners.
Metric to Imperial, I saw something absolutely insane today at NCM Motorsports Park in Kentucky. The fuel bowsers on site are selling fuel in US dollars per litre.
Yeah, right. That's that breaks my brain a little bit. It's certainly broken our producer's brain as well, Michael Derby, behind the scenes, of course. Well, hopefully we'll see some reasonable fuel usage around here. Obviously, a lot of time spent on throttle as Michael Chase is going through the part of the circuit where you use the least amount of throttle, that double hairpin section, which is allegedly inspired by the stadium section at the Hockenheim Ring, and then through this multi-apex right-hander inspired by the legendary Turn 8 at Istanbul Park. This track is a bit of a hodgepodge of sections inspired by other great circuits around the world, and it comes together to make a very interesting layout indeed.
So that's going to be track limits there for Michael Chase, surely?
Yeah, a little bit too far beyond the course there on the exit of the final corner, but looks like he was back on track before the start-finish line, so this next lap should be valid, at least he'll be hoping so. 15 minutes of qualifying, 4 laps to be taken around here, and considering the lap times in practice, 2.5 minutes, they're going to be using all of that 15 minutes.
Here's Michael Coates down that incredibly long back straight. Normally, bit of infield stuff to the left, RV sites to the right along the back straight there. Also a stage so that Taylor Swift can perform. as she has done here at Circuit of the Americas before, but it ends with that tight left-hander, brings you into this complicated section of hairpins, changes of direction, etc. So then left-hand hairpin into a right-hand hairpin, through a squiggle into another left-hand hairpin, another one of these places where it's just hard to work out exactly where is my apex, and Michael Coates is probably still looking for one there that he hasn't quite found. Super fast, long right-hander here underneath the base of the tower. I hope you're good with heights.
Yeah, indeed. It's a beautiful viewing point. And if I ever make it to the United States and visit Circuit of the Americas in Austin, I'll definitely be watching a race from up there. We have our first qualifying time on the cards. Nicholas Shepard, first one to put one in, 2:29.7, but that is immediately slammed by Michael Folds, who goes 2:29.171. That's pretty dominant there, although John Miller does narrow that gap, putting himself into second place in car 311.
Live timing is at spec5.hjbc.live, so you can go check that out. Lincoln Fox up top for the moment from Michael Folds and John Miller. Still expecting that lap 3 is probably the sweet spot in these weather conditions around this circuit length. You'd expect lap 2 to continue to build on the pace of lap 1. Expect lap 3 could build even further. Lap 4, maybe the tyres are a little bit past their best. Spec 5 World Tour has pro class drivers and open class drivers. And it is Mark Kruger up the top of open class at the moment from Peter Resorkis, who won last race in round 5 in the open class, and Frankie Sugamelli in third in that class at the moment. Again, still very early in this qualifying session to delve too much into it, because Joao Hedler has gone and taken top spot away from Lincoln Fox on his first flying lap now completed.
Yeah, that's a massive time there from Joao Hedler. That is faster than even Nicholas Shepard could manage in practice. About a tenth of a second faster than the top practice time there. So Hedler absolutely nailing that first run. We'll have to wait and see if they can gear things up on the second and third laps here, because those tyres are only going to get faster the more they're used over this short run, as Hedler finds his way out of the S's. Bit of oversteer having to be managed over the hill. I actually quite like that section of track. You know, I could take or leave the first section coming through turns 3 to about turn 5, but that end to the S is so challenging. You really need to practice the slow in, fast out technique there. It's all about that exit over the top of the hill.
Just keeping an eye on the comings and goings of this qualifying. I think there's a few drivers that have maybe picked up an off track here or there and decided to reset on a new set of tyres. Not Joao Hedler just yet, as he's more than halfway around this lap at this point. This is where things get a little slower, a little more technical. And from this viewing angle, you're going to head into this next left-hander, and the apex is sort of out of view, and then you come back around to it. And you've got to be very precise, but it's difficult to gather that sort of precision.
Yeah, it's hard around here because it's a Formula One circuit with big runoff areas. It's difficult to find those reference points for turn-in for a lot of these corners, and particularly on exit right here at the second last turn. Very easy to run a bit too wide and get an off track. So you basically got to drive by feel and muscle memory a lot of the way around here. Hedler across the line will I think improve that to 2:28.666. Looks to me like, well, actually no, that's not an improvement. It looks like that lap didn't count. He got an off track somewhere along the way there. That's going to be an issue, I think, for the drivers in the race. You definitely don't want to gain too many incidents out there, but they're very easy to pick up. Go a little bit beyond those curbs, and the off-track 1X is not your best friend around here.
No, certainly not. So exit of the final corner, anywhere through the S's, over the top of the hill here on the exit, I think, as well. And then just anywhere that you lose your bearings. So as he runs a bit wide there, he's careful of the track limits on the outside, because if you end up too far out in the AstroTurf there, you're in trouble as well. Hedler is still pushing on here with half a second clear of Lincoln Fox. Resorkis, it looks like, has jumped to the top of the open class ahead of Mark Kruger. Bobby Paul going into third in that class. And still a chunk of drivers without any qualifying times, including Kyle Genske, who's completed 2 laps, neither of which have counted. Geordie Fike, who's completed 2 laps, neither of which have counted.
Yeah, it's looking like Paul Murgatroyd has left it a bit late to get out on the racetrack himself. He'll only get one opportunity, I think, to really get his time down here, and Donnie Moffat has yet to come out of the pits at all, so I think Donnie might be starting from the very back here, unless Murgatroyd, Genske or Fike are unable to get their times in. Well, Murgatroyd himself is now on his way to the final corner here, a little bit wide of that apex. You kind of want to hit the anti-cut curb on the inside. That's how you know you've really nailed that run through the second last turn. But out of the final corner he comes, and it looks legal. So let's see if this lap counts. 2:31.7 for him, and that does count. Puts him only 17th though. Seems like he's had a bit of trouble getting the lines down.
Well, according to iRacing, there are 16 turns around this circuit, and I think all of them feel like real turns. Turn 1 through the S's and everywhere else around here. So you've got to get all of them right and work out your line for absolutely all of them and how your car's going to behave. Lincoln Fox is parking in the shade, hopefully.
Is that damage to the rear for Lincoln? Looked like the rear end was sagging a bit.
I suppose it's possible.
No damage for Lincoln Fox. He just pulled over and stopped. Well, not ideal for Lincoln there, but he has completed 3 laps thus far. That's enough to put him provisional second for the time being, and it doesn't look like anyone's going to be able to catch Joao Hedler at this point. He's still on his way around his final lap here. I'm sure a lot of drivers would be hoping for that DRS board to actually mean something in these cars, because goodness knows they're going to have to keep up in the slipstream if they want to overcome our championship leader here, making his way into the final sector.
What could possibly happen if you had a DRS button? As he misses the braking zone, and that's going to be qualifying done for him. What would the windshield fall down or something? A full open topped roadster in this thing. I'm not immediately seeing a whole lot of drag to reduce.
No.
So qualifying done for Hedler. Michael Chase still going to complete his 4th lap. Michael Coates has just completed one. So for Chase, this could still go a little quicker. It's been good through the middle of the lap for the driver currently in 6th place.
Some good curb usage in the second last corner as well. Only 1 turn to go now. 1:25 remaining on the clock as he exits the final corner, and a 2:29.9 for Michael Chase. That's 2/10, I'd say, off his quickest. So unfortunate for him, but that's going to end his qualifying run.
Geordie Fike, 3 laps completed. None of them have counted. Keep it within the lines, Geordie.
Please.
So this is his last lap and his last chance to move off the back row of the grid. Presumably, a clean lap time would do that for him. But the first 3 laps, he's not been able to muster that. He's got 1 corner left to go. He's still attacking it like he thinks this lap could be good. So we'll keep our eyes on Fike. It's all looked okay. Surely that was fine out of the final corner. It can't be that harsh. We're going to see for the 09 car as he brakes and slows. A 232.767 seems to have stuck and put him to 22nd position. Mike Oswalt is inside of the top 10, still out on track and lapping. Pit entry to his left if he wanted to practice it, but he's looking to stay out on the circuit. And the other drivers who were, well, he's going to run out of time. I was about to say, I don't think I see anyone else who's got time left, and Mike Oswalt didn't either.
Yeah, well, that's your grid set here. Once again, Joao Hedler on pole position. We'll see if Michael Folds will be able to tackle him here, David.
Yep, so Hedler and Folds, front row of the grid from Lincoln Fox and John Miller. Mitchell Peake and Michael Chase are 5th and 6th. And then there's Nicholas Shepherd and Michael Coates, Eugenio Polici and Mike Oswalt, all pro drivers inside of the top 10. Brian Jabelski and Jason Stalker are next. Peter Resorkis, best open class driver there in 13th. Odyssey Adams and Rui Coimbra, the teammates, are going to be 14th and 15th. 1 row apart. Mark Kruger in 16th. Carl Genski in 17th, Paul Murgatroyd 18th, Ray Lombardi 19th, Frankie Sugamelli 20th, and then the last drivers with qualifying times, Bobby Paul, Geordie Fike, and Rob Conahan. Donnie Moffat will be starting from the pit lane.
It looks like it. No time in qualifying as the field tries to line things up here. It's going to be a short formation lap for these drivers, starting on the back stretch alongside the short circuit cutoff there, and also the club circuit shortcut, which NASCAR used for their shortcut on the main layout in their recent race at COTA, which I thought was pretty curious.
I didn't watch that race, but on paper it looks like a good idea.
Yeah, the that shorter shortcut there with the chicane in the middle is what V8 Supercars used when they did their one-off weekend at COTA in, I believe, 2014. And I understand why NASCAR would not want to do that. Looks like they're going to be extending the formation period here. We're going to be going for a full formation lap around this place after we cross the line here. So that means we're going to be waiting a while to get the race going.
Yep, and that's why we're going to look at the championship points now. 5 rounds completed. This is round 6 of 13. Joao Hedler leads the way in the pro class ahead of Michael Chase, Michael Folds, David Ducamo, Lincoln Fox, John Miller, Michael Coates, Rui Coimbra, Eugenio Polici entering into the top 10, and Mitchell Peake is 10th in the pro division points. Over here in open, things are pretty hot between Kyle Genski, Lee Martin, and Logan Fry. Just 10 points between them. Daniel Artuzo and Peter Resorkis 4th and 5th. Resorkis off the back of a win last time out, also surging up through these standings. Mark Kruger, Travis Hewitt, Jake DeGrand, Rob Conahan, and Josh Olson completing the top 10 in open class points. And for the Mr. Clean award, it's now filtering with 5 rounds completed with a drop week. So dropping the worst race, Brian Zabelski, 0 incidents. Todd Martin 2, Joao Hedler 6, Lee Martin 8, Mike Oswalt 8, Geordie Fike 11, and John Miller, Rui Coimbra, Mark Kruger, and Sean Hayes in this top 10.
Particularly enjoying the Mr. Clean award there. I expect a lot of incidents will be collected here at COTA to change those standings. Well, the schedule thus far, Started the season at Virginia International Raceway, then we went to Navarra, Okayama, Mount Panorama, and Detroit Belle Isle, the street race there in the Motor City. We're here at the Circuit of the Americas for race 6, and we still have a good portion of the season left to go. We're going to Phoenix Raceway for an oval event for race 7. Going to Interlagos, Catalunya, Mugello, Mid-Ohio, Mosport, and Laguna Seca to round off the season, ending it in May. So I'm looking forward to all of these circuits here, pretty much running the gamut of iconic circuits on iRacing, and a great sort of European-American tour to round off the season. But I'll be very curious about the Phoenix round coming up next week.
So the field goes through the S's right now. Well, I was going to try to dial up Peter Rasorkis, but we jinxed him in round 4. So I think we're going to leave him alone in round 6.
Seems like a smart decision.
Of course, that's why we had to fire Devin Peters, and Reese Gardner capably steps in to provide far more tact and discretion.
Oh, dearie me. Well, I love these aerial views as we make our way around this formation. That really gives you a sense of the scale of this circuit. Taking 2.5 minutes to complete a lap in the Global Mazda MX-5 Cup. And they'll have to be waiting a while down that long straight before they get another opportunity to warm up their tyres before the start.
I get on this soapbox just about every week, it seems like. Why is the pace car speed 45 miles an hour? The pace car driver has learned how to slow down for hairpins. Let him open up the Porsche 911 GT3 a little bit on the back straight. Free my man.
A little speed, please. Yes, 100% agree. It's like rush hour on the Mitchell Freeway at the moment.
Oh, is that a little more heavily trafficked than Kwinana?
At some points, yeah. Particularly around the Osborne Park area. All depends on the time of day. You definitely don't want to be going straight through the city.
It's the Spec 5 World Tour and you're getting local Perth traffic chat. You are not listening to FM radio. But we are watching from the chopper, letting you know there's a bit of traffic on the back straight as we are on the formation lap. With 45 minutes of racing ahead of us, prediction says maybe that's 18 laps. Everyone's going to take one stop. Need to add some fuel to get them to the end. And a change to HJBC live timing. Now spec5.hjbc.live to get your Spec 5 live timing.
And make sure to hop on over there to follow along with the action. We will obviously do our best to keep up with everything going on track, but might be a couple of things that you see on the live timing that we may not, so worth keeping that up in a separate window if you're tuning in. And just a couple more corners to go. We can get this race started. It's a short run to the start-finish line here at COTA, so I think we're going to be seeing Hedler and Folds get on the power very quickly here.
And Donnie Moffat's been waiting in that pit lane for an awful long time for this race to get underway. Spec 5 World Tour is 45 minutes of Circuit of the Americas, brought to you by The Wrong Stuff Esports Racing. It's CFPM Sampaios, Joao Hedler, who's on the pole position. It's Box 5's Michael Folds on the outside row, waiting for a green flag here at COTA. 45 minutes begins now.
A bit of a longer start-finish run than I anticipated as they come down to turn 1 already. A move to the inside here from Lincoln Fox. He's going to try and make it 3 wide into the first corner. Hedler a bit earlier on the brakes, catches up at the apex. Very slow speed for Lincoln Fox on the inside. It means Michael Folds is going to go straight through to the lead as they come into the S's for the first time.
Yeah, great work by Folds, great work by Fox. Joe Hedler caught out a little bit as the field works its way through the S's right now. Still too wide in the back around Michael Coates and Jason Stalker. Your leaders getting clear here, but around the outside, Chase also losing a little bit of time and pace. Now Coates looks down the inside of him, still trying to fend off Conahan there. We work back single file as the track rises up towards the crest. Hedler's trying to go around the outside of Lincoln Fox, and will look to get back into second place. Michael Folds now leads almost 1.5 seconds. The inside line probably the place to be into a corner like this, but Fox breaks way earlier, and then John Miller tags him.
Oh dear, Lincoln Fox stopped at the apex of the hairpin there. It's a parking lot. They're all trying to find their way around him. Stopped is Brian Jabelski, and it looks like that might be his Mr. Clean award gone. He might have made a bit of contact there. He was straight on the brakes, and he did get tapped, so that is a 4X to his name there. Oh, that's such a shame to see that incident come together there. Lincoln Fox will be none too happy with what's going on in the hairpin on lap 1.
So Folds leading, Hedler second, massive gap to Mitchell Peak in third. And then Michael Coates, Michael Chase. Peter Rasorka still holding on to the top of the open class. Incredible drama at the far hairpin on the opening lap there. Bobby Paul going to second in class. Sorry, going to third in class. Carl Genski still in second. Jason Stalker, one of the drivers, picking off a lot of positions on this opening lap. Same to Odyssey Adams and Rui Coimbra. And the first lap's not done yet either.
Yeah, here we go. Across the start-finish line to end the first lap. Michael Folds in the lead. But Hedler is going to try his best to catch him up here. There's some good breathing room. COTA is one of those circuits where if you are within 1.5 seconds of the car in front, you're going to get that slipstream coming down these very long straight line sections. The draft incredibly important at this circuit. So with a 1.3 second lead, he has a little bit of breathing room to play with. Battle's still going on between Stalker and Chase for 6th place. It looks like Stalker has managed to grab it at turn 1. And now Chase falls under pressure from Adams.
Yeah, this is the tightest part of the field now. Behind Jason Stalker, you see obviously Adams taking a little look at Michael Chase as well, as there are a few different lines in the segment that connects the S's to the top of the hill. It's going wide out the top of the hill there, I think is one of the places that's going to pick you up incident points. And if you get too many of them, you'll get a drive-through. Not only will it scupper your Mr. Clean chances as well. Scupper is the word I was looking for. Then Stalker runs a little bit wide and they'll have overlap with each other heading down the back straight. Free toe wherever you want it for Odyssey Adams. And it looks like he's just going to try to push Michael Chase back into 5th place.
Yeah, this is MX5 racing right here, down the long straight. A little bit of bump drafting. Oh, Adams getting some contact from Stalker, who's still going to try and fight Chase into this hairpin here and keep the position. Well defended into the corner. I don't know how Adams going to feel about that contact into the braking zone. Now it's Eugenio Pulici who finds himself a position passing Adams through the right-hander.
Yep, the Italian, the Milanese native, Eugenio Pulici up into 7th there. Open class battle is tangled up in all of this as well. Carl Genski versus Peter Rasorkas. Looks like Carl Genski gets round the outside of Rasorkas for the leader class, going into the top 10 there as well. There are other positions to be picked off, so it's a battle within a battle. Within a battle from 5th through to 12th, with the second lap nearly completed. Joel Hedler closing back in on leader Michael Folds underneath the second. This is a circuit with some high speed, long straights with a chance for some slipstreaming here as well. So I think Hedler will be able to reel this one in pretty quickly. These two, though, clear. Fresh air from the rest of the pack. Peak and Coates for third, and then everything that's going on for fifth. Waves generally at the fire happening there.
Hedler took 7/10, nearly 8/10 of a second out of Michael Folds on that lap. That's a very significant margin to make up, and that's why he's leading this championship. Well, through the S's, a lot of curb usage there for Jason Stalker. Those anti-cut bumps there have certainly been a point of contention, especially on this version of the Scan of Circuit of the Americas. Those anti-cut devices there have since been replaced in the real world. They're not quite that harsh or that sharp, so it's something that you got to look out for when you're driving in the sim. Stalker's suspension has been able to take it though, and you've got to remember that Stalker is, well, that's deep, dealing with a bit of front end damage, so that might be affecting his straight line speed a little bit.
Peak and Coates side by side there. Just heading over one of the little hills. You can see some damage on the front right for Coates. Jason Stalker leads the pack over towards the inside. Plenty happening towards the end of the back straight. Probably one of the places that the slipstream is at its heaviest on this racetrack. You can come from a couple of tenths back to being absolutely side by side, trying to take the position away by the end of the straight. As Stalker positioning himself defensively to fend off Chase, Pulici, and Odyssey Adams.
Keeping the position coming out of the hairpin there, and in the midst of all of this, noticing that Kyle Genski's had a great run up through the field in these first couple of laps. He's worked things out very nicely. Genski now leading the open class. He's gained 8 spots. Peter Rosakis has only gained 2. So there's a bit of a battle to be had between them going on here. Potentially some opportunity for Rosakis to regain in the pit cycle, but he's going to have to find his way into the slipstream of Rui Coimbra there. He wants any chance of catching back up to Genski, who's got a massive slipstream off the back of Adams.
So the front half of the field heading up the hill. Really tough braking zone to pick any sort of reference point for where to brake and where to turn in. It's pretty important. And then sweeping downhill right feeds you into the S's here. You see how close the lead's got. You see how close third and fourth is. You can see the job that Jason Stalker has got in the midfield pack right now. Last lap though, catching Coates and Peak despite needing to get a little bit on the defense. So all signs pointing to Stalker having a little bit of pace right now. We might get to halfway point though, and the drivers look at the number of incidents that they've accumulated, and some of them need to back it off a little bit. You might say, oh, this driver looks the business right now, but they might be chewing through their incident points while others are playing it carefully.
Yeah, indeed. The whole point of an incident limit is to try and encourage clean driving, but some drivers, especially at the top levels, will take it as basically a bank of incidents that they can cash out early or late in the race, depending on where they are. So let's see though. Many drivers employ something like that. Big damage to the front of Michael Coates' car there at the front of this train, and I think that'll definitely be affecting the aerodynamic profile of that car. Obviously, far from the fastest car on iRacing is the MX-5, but you still got to keep that front end clean if you want the optimum speed.
So he takes that super wide turn in, and then tries to keep it on track on the exit, with Mitchell Peak just following him for the moment. Again, looking like Jason Stalker has a little bit more pace than this pair and could bring it all back together. We've had John Miller as a retirement. That will be 1X. for Michael Chase there. You've had Brian Jabalski and Frankie Sugamelli, who both had to go through pit lane to repair damage from lap 1 early in this race. Everyone else still running. Some of them a little more damaged than others.
Yeah, running cleanly at the back though, and they'll certainly be able to find another couple of positions at least over the course of the next 35 minutes. Some changes made in that battle that we were looking at just before. It looks like Kyle Genski's found his way past Odyssey Adams, coming into the opening of the lap here, finally making some moves. Genski traditionally has been one of those drivers that isn't the most aggressive on moves, but when he senses an opportunity, he will pounce and find his way past. Tends to take a bit of a back seat to a lot of the battles, and it's paid off for him a lot in the past. It looks like a
slide.
Oh God! Oh my Lord! Jason Stalker.
Yeah, Stalker. I think he's held the steering wheel tight, trying to stay within the track limits at the exit. If he'd let the car run out wide, he'd have gotten off track, but he wouldn't have spun out, and so it's trying to stay tight to the limits. It's gotten him in trouble. Pearl Murgatroyd's also hit one of the humps, but this is it. He gets a little bit sideways off the apex curb, and then he's trying to keep it within the track limits. Spins around. Eugenio Pellicci tries to pull out from behind Michael Chase, who's slowing up, and in doing so goes and hits Jason Stalker. So maybe a bit of damage for Pellicci from that. Certainly some damage for Jason Stalker. Michael Chase back up into 5th. Kyle Genski up into 6th outright from Eugenio Pellicci, Odyssey Adams, and Rui Coimbra.
That was very unfortunate for Pellicci. He saw that opportunity to try and find his way past Chase, but, well, spinning at the exact wrong time was Jason Stalker, and a little bit of contact, maybe doing a tiny bit of suspension damage to Pellicci's car, but visually at least it seems like he's escaped the worst of it. Paul Murgatroyd, though, he's got a mechanical black flag from that incident we saw from him. You've obviously got to be careful over these curbs, and I mean, Murgatroyd's car certainly some big damage to the rear.
Yeah, I was going to say the damage for Murgatroyd's on mainly the right rear. We saw the front left hitting the curb. So, I don't know, those seem like opposite ends of the car to me.
Could have been coming down back onto the ground and over the curb that actually did the damage for him, unless that's... Oh no, it's... actually, I've noticed that Murgatroyd didn't get the damage from the curb, he spun and got into the wall. So we'll see the full story being told here. Over the apex, boom, and then the car unsettles. Murgatroyd tries to recover it, and then back end into the barrier, and that's why he has a mechanical black flag, which he still hasn't come into the pits to clear. You get a maximum of, I think, 3 laps to clear any black flags that you may get, including mechanical ones. So Murgatroyd just trying to soldier on as best he can for now, and maybe he'll be able to recover something after he gets that damage repaired, but goodness knows how long he's going to have to spend in the pits repairing that. Meanwhile, battle for the lead. Joao Hedler now right on the back of Michael Folds, and it seems like he's just playing this safe for now. He's in the draft, but not immediately going for the move. I think he's biding his time.
Yeah, I think he's been this distance behind for a lap or two. The pace of the leading two is still quicker than everyone else, so I think so long as Hedler sees 3rd place getting further away behind him, then all you need to focus on is being with the race leader. Here's another example of the different lines you can take through there. Folds slightly more defensive, slightly tighter on the way in. Joao Hedler really opening it all up, and they're almost 10 seconds clear of the rest of the field then. At this point, you'd think Paul Murgatroyd's trying to hang this one out until the pit window opens for fuel, which is around the middle of the race. So then it's sort of plus or minus 2 laps. Well, 22 minutes, 50 seconds remaining would be the halfway point. Might we be a lap or 2 from that becoming possible for him, I think I see the logic to this for Paul.
Yeah, I do too. Oh, goodness me. Big slide from the 7 of Eugenio Pollici there. Obviously dealing with some traction issues there, but he finds himself in 5th place. He's actually found his way to the front of that train, regardless of any incident he might have had when Jason Stalker spun just in front of him. So now he's going to jet away a little bit and let Kyle Ginsky and Michael Chase battle behind him, as it looks like Murgatroyd has decided to jump into the pits and get that damage repaired. I don't think he would have been able to stay out to the point he would have liked. He would have been disqualified from the race if he'd continued on too long with that mechanical black flag over his head.
60 pit stalls at Circuit of the Americas. No one needs to share, so they're all down the pit exit end of the lane quite clearly. It's interesting, these circuits that have Formula One style garages, but also a North American style pit wall there. So COTA, they move the concrete blocks. Indy, they've basically got a double length pit lane, and the garages for the F1 pit lane were near the entry. Hedler just hanging about in 2nd place, and I put to you, there is a bonus point for no incidents. There is no bonus point for winning by more than 10 seconds.
Yeah, exactly.
There is, though, a bonus point for leading the most laps. So that's heading towards folds at the moment.
Yeah, it definitely is. I mean, looking at the oh yeah, looks like Mitchell Peak has had a problem potentially here. Oh no, that's a spin. Very easy to do in a lot of these very sharp corners at this circuit, and he will lose 4 or 5 positions potentially on his way through there. But yeah, you're right. Hedler has, I mean, I don't think he's going to be hurt too much by allowing Folds to lead a lot of laps here. He is currently in a pretty dominant position in the championship, particularly over Folds. So I think if I were in his position, I'd be doing the same thing. Plus, you know, if you're out in front, you're the one punching that hole through the air. You're using more fuel, which also means that you don't have much room to play around with your strategy. Get that sort of window to pit maybe a couple of laps earlier or later than you'd like.
So a recap of the point structure in Spec 5 World Tour. The race win is worth 100 points. There's 1 bonus point for pole position in your class. There's 1 bonus point for if you finish the race with 1 incident. There are 2 bonus points if you finish the race with 0 incidents. There is 1 bonus point for the fastest lap and 1 bonus point for the most laps led. At the moment, Michael Folds is racking up laps led, but you could see that from 2nd place, Charles Hedler would still have the pole position point, could still have a point for minimizing his incidents, and he could absolutely still take the fastest lap of the race. So we're still sitting pretty from 2nd place here to take a couple of those bonus points.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of the fastest lap, it doesn't look like anyone's going to dethrone Hedler anytime soon. Hedler's best lap is a 2:28.5, and closest to that is Kyle Ginsky with a 2:29.1. Speaking of Ginsky, it's all going on around him. Almost in the middle of 3 wide here as Odyssey Adams makes his way around Eugenio Pollici with the outside move at the hairpin, and Ginsky sees the opportunity open to the inside and pushes Pollici back to 6th spot. Lovely little battle going on there as Chase and Rousakis have also traded places further back for 7th spot.
So they have, here's Mitchell Peak just in behind 2nd place in open class. Peter Rousakis gets the inside. It's incredibly long right-hander, and he'll look to seal the deal. before the track switches back in the left-handed direction, and he will. Ooh, going for pit lane there, Michael Chase. Going for the inside, Rui Coimbra.
Okay, so early call to the pits here from Michael Chase, and meanwhile, Coimbra having to fall behind Rusokis. Is there going to be a move coming into turn 1? Rusokis looks like he was thinking about it, but decided not to. Early turn in there for Peter. It's always interesting seeing what lines drivers take through that opening hairpin, because you know you come into that corner off the start finish straight and you cannot see the apex. It's a very intense uphill run into the first corner here, and it's that style of hairpin where the track widens up a lot on the way into a very sharp apex. So I can certainly speak from personal experience when I say it's hard to line up that apex every lap. It's practically impossible to take the same line through all the way through a race.
So, a couple more pit callers were Michael Chase, Mike Oswaltz, Lincoln Fox. I think it might be race over for Frankie Sugamelli.
Yeah, it is. Contact with Shabelski coming into the first turn, apparently.
Shabelski got on the radio and called him Bud, which is the equivalent of me calling you champ.
Yeah, and we all know what that means. So here's how it happened. Sugamelli trying to go for it on the inside, and unfortunately it looked like that was not a high probability move to make.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about this, how unsighted you can be of the apex in turn 1, how everyone kind of takes a different line, and it leads to some stuff like that, I think, sometimes as well, that can happen. We saw what happened to far hairpin, which I think has a similar characteristic of a very tight apex, but a very wide racetrack that leads toward it.
Yeah, I mean, you know, that's what we saw with John Miller. You know, he obviously saw the apex and thought, oh, I'm going to go for it, I'm going to turn in, and unfortunately Lincoln Fox was still there on the inside, and well, there's a whole raft of people in the pits at the moment. Coates leading the way in. He's joined by Pulici, Peak, Rusokis, and Coimbra here on the 22-minute mark in this race. Solid halfway through stop for all these guys. Donnie Moffat's just jumped in the pit lane behind them as well.
Yeah, just gone past the halfway, the 45 minutes of Coda, brought to you by the Wrong Stuff Esports Racing. And for everyone who's looking to take right-hand side tyres, I think you want to stop closer to the halfway point than going deep into the race. Peak obviously took the right-hand side tyres, but I'm not sure if Michael Coates did, who's going to beat him off the lane and beat him out of the pit exit. Eugenio Pulici just behind Peak there, and all these guys getting their damage repaired as well. Michael Chase blends around the outside of them in turn 1. Peter Rusokis out of the lane. So Genski, Paul, and Conahan have all gone on longer than Peter Rusokis, but he's hoping he can come back into the lead of the open class when they pit.
It was a solid run out of the box for Michael Coates. Pretty much the perfect exit that he wanted. And for now, he doesn't have any company to provide some slipstream to him. We'll likely have Pulici and Chase attempting a run up here. Lot of potential.
So with just 6 cars that haven't stopped now, it's the leaders, Michael Folds and Trail Headler, then Odyssey Adams Jr., Carl Genski, Bobby Paul, and Rob Conahan. Michael Coates leads the cars that have stopped at this point, just here, with Mitchell Peak, Eugenio Pulici, Michael Chase, and a little bit of a gap to Rui Coimbra and Peter Rusokis. I think with the amount of drivers we saw on the last lap, that this time with 9 laps to go, we'll probably see some Although, based on when they all pitted, I'm still seeing this as now... Okay, yeah, 10 laps completed, 9 to go, potentially. Probably
yes.
8 to go.
Yeah, my timing is showing 8 laps to go, with these guys at the front just coming up on lap 11.
I was thinking if the leader crossed the start-finish line with exactly half of the time left, but still needed to take a pit stop, it's not going to extend by the extra lap. Michael Folds gets plenty of air, hangs inside tyres up in the air, ramping himself over the curb. We've seen that these cars just simply don't have the suspension travel for the height of this curb, never mind the damping or whatever. And so it can pitch them into a spin if you clip those orange curbs wrong. Bobby Paul and Rob Conahan pit, but Odyssey Adams and Carl Genske carry on.
I'm interested to see what this is going to work out to for Adams and Genske. Remember, they were fighting the sort of back end of that fifth place battle, just inside the top 10, and Genske fighting up into fifth place. So what does this decision to pit later mean for them? Well, it does mean that for a brief moment they have the advantage of lighter cars. They haven't taken the fuel that they need to get to the end, so that's an opportunity for some extra pace. But the big disadvantage they have is Coates, Peak, Polici, and Chase all in a line, all assisting each other in the slipstream, which is going to give them a bit of a benefit to lap time.
Here's Polici looking down the inside of Peak. Overshoots? No, not really. That looks pretty perfect from Polici, if we're honest. But now he's got Peak right behind him again as they go onto the back straight. Absolutely want to maximize your run onto this back straight. Chance that Peak could be pushing Polici just a little bit closer towards Michael Coates here. Battle could still be on.
Leader in, Michael Folds has taken to pit lane, but Joao Hedler is going to continue on for another lap.
Yeah, also saw Peter Resorkis side by side with Rui Coimbra. Plenty happening now just to set up the final phase of this race. Resorkis ahead for the moment. Need to be very careful about how hard he paddles Rui Coimbra. They're not in the class together.
Oh, that's an aggressive entry there from Polici, but works out roughly equal with Mitchell Peak on the exit. You did see that Michael Coates was going for the wide entry and straight exit, which has given him a slight benefit over the trio chasing him. So Folds, Adams, and Genske all find themselves in the lane. 19-second stop for Michael Folds, and that's almost the quickest stop that we've seen so far. Meanwhile, Adams and Genske, hello. Did Genske try to move just a little bit early there?
It's long stops for both of these guys. I'm seeing 26 seconds stationary for Adams and 23 stationary for Carl Genske. Peter Resorkis is on track and at speed to go back into the lead of the open class and almost to go clean around the outside of Adams. Oh, there's a bit of a spin.
Oh, that's not ideal. Looked like that was Adams there trying his best to pull it up for the hairpin. Rui Coimbra's teammate obviously having to take a bit of avoiding action. Genske will find himself to the front of the train.
Yeah, sure does for the moment. Having battled with Coimbra before the stops, found himself almost battling with Adams on the way through. Got one car that hasn't stopped, and it's Joao Hedler. You've got Eugenio Polici down the inside of Michael Coates. Coates ends up way, way deep in there, and a couple of car lengths back off Polici, who now goes into third place. Polici finished third last round. Could do it again.
Yeah, good to see that as Lucas turned around from last season. Obviously, I haven't been here for the first 5 rounds of this season, but I remember last season Polici had a lot of potential for great results, but often found himself in trouble and was not able to capitalize on his pace. So currently in a good position right now. Needs to keep his eye out for Michael Coates to potentially go for the move here. Coates, meanwhile, has gotten that damage repaired to the front of his car as Hedler finds his way in. Last car to make his way into pit lane, and he is taking right side tyres as expected.
Racing underneath the Texas sun, the track temperature has risen a little bit from qualifying into the race and throughout the race. Hedler leaves the pit lane. Michael Folds is at speed on the front straight. Hedler's got a bit of an advantage and he will have the inside line into turn one. I think if the two of them are still together after this pit stop, that's a win for Michael Folds. Oh, it's a slide on the cold tyres, and through into the lead goes Michael Folds. We've seen that a couple of drivers really struggling. Cold right side tyres at the total pinch point of the apex of turn one, and Hedler does what we saw happen a lap ago to the not a team teammates of Rui Coimbra and Otis Adams.
Yeah, that's not ideal for Hedler at all. Certainly not disastrous by any stretch. He's still going, still in second spot, and he clearly has the pace to catch up to Folds, if not outright pass him here. But the pressure is going to be on. The gap for the lead at 1.6 seconds with 6 laps remaining in the race. Well, Folds is back in the position he was familiar with, but he had Hedler breathing down his neck the entire race up to the pit stops. I don't think it's too long before we're going to be seeing that situation again.
Well, all to play for the race lead and for the podium positions with everyone's pit stop completed. It's about the racetrack, it's about the slipstream, and it could be about the incident points as well. Eugenio Polici may have racked up a few. Michael Coates nearly gave him a couple of extras, might have given himself one on the exit. So Mitchell Peake is now all over him. Got to keep my eyes on who might be approaching 20 incident points. Mitchell Peake looks down the inside. Michael Chase looks on, and this is the battle, the group, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th.
This has been a great battle the whole way through. Polici with the advantage right now as Coates will fall behind Mitchell Peake, but if anything, what I've noticed from Coates today is that he has been focusing on those exits and he's been working things out very nicely. Maybe not at the far hairpin, but pretty much every other slow corner on the lap. Watch him go here, nice and tight on the inside, rotating in the middle of the corner. Didn't quite get the advantage there, but he's made it work multiple times before. Let's see if Michael Chase can finally make a difference to his race running position. He is the only car in this field still running in the position he started.
Qualified 6th, running 6th. Jarrell Hedler qualified pole, running 2nd. Folds qualified 2nd, running 1st at the moment. Seeing that it'll be 5 laps to go in a spin from Polici out of the final corner. The driver from 3rd position is going to drop and drop.
That's a shame for Polici. Back to 6th spot and could be 7th. He's got the entire start-finish straight to contend with as they are together again for 3rd. Have a look at Peter Rosakis. He is coming. Let's see if he can nab his fellow Euro on his way into this corner. He cannot, but crucial gap being made up here. Rosakis has slipstream for the first time in a while.
Then just behind, here's Odyssey Adams with Kyle Genske. Lincoln Fox, who obviously lost out big time on the opening lap, is coming back through the field and back in towards the top 10. Coimbra and Mike Oswald behind. A second pit stop for Paul Murgatroyd. Is it because he couldn't take enough fuel at the first stop and he couldn't get... Maybe he needed to go 5 minutes deeper in the race to make it work. No, it's a drive-through. It's a drive-through. Rob Conahan's got one as well.
Okay, well, there we go. We are starting to see victims of the incident limit here. It was always going to be a factor at this round. I think they are far from the only cars that we're going to see be in danger of that. with only 10 minutes remaining. Here comes Michael Chase, finding himself in fourth. Michael Coates pulls out of the slipstream, something chronic there. It looks like he was actually breaking his own draft on purpose there, trying to stay behind these two as they battle it out. Chase thinks about looking to the inside of Peak, but it's not going to happen at the hairpin. And Michael Coates will watch on for now as the battle continues. Kyle Genske and Lincoln Fox are trading spots for 9th. And Genske, having lost the open class lead to Peter Roussorkis in the pit cycle, will now be trying to battle his way forward. Hasn't got very long up to Roussorkis. You see him there, just one car ahead.
Fox has been working back through the field steadily all race. Now looking for a couple of extras, but being denied at the moment by Kyle Genske.
A very intense fight coming through the final sector. Oh, hello,
Roussorkis. Change for the open class lead. Kyle Genske goes into the leader class as Roussorkis has been off and wide. So now for Kyle Genske, it means even more. Slots 2 pro class cars between himself and his class leader that he's gone ahead of. Lincoln Fox and Rory Coimbra between Genske and Roussorkis. And suddenly, just a little mistake, I'm sure, from Peter Roussorkis has Kyle Genske in the sun.
Yeah, certainly does. That's a big error there from Peter Roussorkis, but it's easy to do at that second last corner. It's another one of those turns where it's very hard to pick the turn-in point, and if you carry the brakes a bit too far, which it looks like Roussorkis did, go for a bit of a slide off into the tarmac runoff, and, well, that is the class lead gone.
Rob Conahan serving his drive-through penalty now. Put him back next to his teammate Paul Murgatroyd. This is Chase looking down the inside of Peak, a little deep, parking it at the apex, and that's kind of how these moves work, I think. Get to the inside and then you really park it at the apex there. Leading onto the back straight though, a chance for them to fight back, and Michael Coates has been sort of watching Chase and Peak battle each other and just thinking, if this comes to blows, I don't want to be within the blast radius.
Yeah, you could see that on the last lap when he was breaking the draft. He just wants to stay a safe distance behind these two because he knows they're going to be fighting tooth and nail for this position, and he doesn't want to get caught up in anything that happens. It was a good move by Michael Chase. It's the asphalt equivalent of the slide job that you see in dirt oval racing. Just get up ahead of the car you're trying to pass, make sure that they can't find their way back past you and have to back out. And that's going to be the position there on the podium for Michael Chase here.
Well, it's thrilling on all fronts with 3 laps to go. This is the race lead. Michael Folds and Joao Hedler locked bumper to bumper. The battle for the podium irresistible as well, and we've seen that the battle for the open class win might not be done yet either. It's going to come down to possibly the very final lap to decide all of these. We talked about how close the Open Class Championship is this season as well, and this could make it even closer. Roussorkis leads the championship at the moment. Kyle Genske leads him on track and by 2 positions as well.
Could be 3. As he's in the slipstream of Lincoln Fox here. Fox and Genske have been trading spots almost non-stop for the last few laps, but Genske's going to back out on the way into the hairpin over the curb. And, well, once again, it's a flat-out corner here on a very wide circuit. Doesn't really make much difference to your pace whether or not you stay tight like Fox did or take a bit of a wider line like Genske. What really matters is your line through the S's. Compromise a little bit on entry. You're basically spending every corner in this section setting up for the next, and the ultimate goal is the run out across the top of the hill here. See that Genske's given up a little bit of pace there, but he straightens it out and gets a good exit from the left-hander down to the hairpin. Tell you what, he's in danger of losing the slipstream of Lincoln Fox here. And you never know. Odyssey Adams could become part of this battle here. 7th spot, and I briefly saw that Lincoln Fox was within a second of him. So this could be a very long train for what's ultimately 7th place.
We know Fox is quick, qualified 3rd, and there's so much possibility for change here. Like this move, also like Mike Oswalt lining up Peter Resorkis potentially as well. So Genski breaks earlier. Looks to maybe see this to Rui Coimbra, but he doesn't want to give it up easily. Track swaps back to the right-hand side. Carl Genski back in front. Peter Resorkis still holding off Mike Oswalt. Michael Folds still being bump drafted by Joao Hedler. No white flag for them this time. 2 more laps to go. And now it looks like Hedler is going to go for the race lead.
Yeah, here's the move. Side by side on the run up the hill. Good time to get it done for Joao Hedler. But Folds fighting it at the apex, carries a bit more speed through the corner with that wider, faster line, and the lead is kept for now. Well, this is the problem here for Hedler. He's running out of time, running out of opportunities to get this lead back, and once he does get it back, he has to try and keep it. The slipstream's so strong here that Folds could just get him right back.
And Hedler's already kind of shown one of the cards in his hand there as well. Like, okay, I could go down the inside, and Folds is like, I don't know if you could at turn 1. I think you might pinch yourself too tight, lose your momentum. I can maybe defend that if that's where you look to pass me on the final lap. Could a similar thing happen into this next hairpin or at the end of the back straight? Are there places where Folds could still hold off Joao Hedler if he got to the inside line? So setting up onto the back straight, a little tidier for Hedler, just 1 car length back, heading onto the longest straight of the circuit.
Yeah, and I think this next corner is a place where you're definitely going to see outside being defended from Michael Folds here. Hedler draws alongside long before the braking zone, and he's going to move ahead before they even have to think about slowing down. But you see the wider line there from Folds. He keeps the outside line, which gives him the inside for the next corner. We saw that exact thing happen in the battle with Kyle Genski and Rui Coimbra just on the last lap, and now Hedler will find himself having to take some unconventional lines here, all the way up the inside here at the left-hander. Space given between the two of them. Tight line on the way in for Hedler, and it's Folds again with the better exit. He's going to get the inside through the very long right-hander multi-apex here, and he will keep the lead by the time they get to the white flag.
When they drew up the circuit, that's what they were hoping for. Side-by-side battling through that sequence of corners, and Folds has managed to stay ahead of Joao Hedler's best efforts 2 times on that lap. Now the white flag will be waved, and Hedler will perhaps look to ratchet up the aggression a little bit. 1 more lap of Circuit of the Americas. Folds ahead of Hedler. Mitchell Peak getting clear in 3rd place by the looks of things. Carl Genski still holding on to the open class lead as Coates has gotten ahead of Michael Chase. Hedler goes for the race lead once again with the inside into turn 1. It's a slide and a half spin from Michael Folds. He's going to let Joao Hedler off the hook on the final lap. He fought valiantly, but he's just stepped too far into turn 1. Michael Chase has a drive-through penalty from the top 5.
Oh no, incident limit exceeded for the 371, and so Chase is going to fall down the order here. That's going to give Polici 5th place back, and Lincoln Fox, what a recovery from him. Remember that Fox was spun on the first lap, and he found himself all the way down round about 20th or so. He's fought his way back up to 6th place with a fantastic climb back through the field. Well, potential 5th, 6th at the moment, but he could still pass Polici by the end. It's such a shame for Michael Folds as well. He had to go deep. He had to try and defend that from Joao Hedler, but the elevation change coming up to the apex of the first turn was ultimately his undoing.
Yeah, the camber and the elevation is just a little odd in that turn in to the apex. There are some lines where your change of direction sort of happens just as the road crests, and it becomes a challenge. So Hedler's just got to see this one home. The lead that they had was 25 seconds over everyone else, so Foles is still safe in second place. Mitchell Peak is not necessarily safe in third. He's doing a little more on the back straight to try to break the toe to Michael Coates. Junior Polici's in the 5th spot ahead of Lincoln Fox at the moment. This is your last good opportunity to overtake. He's on the brakes down here. Fox is 2 car lengths back off Eugenio Polici as they continue to pick up speed. So Fox stands a chance to look to the inside on Polici here.
Polici's going to give him the space at the apex, but he knows that with the outside line, he has a straighter exit and the inside for the next complex. This is going to be a tight battle between these two, but the checkered flag is out for Joao Hedler at the front of this field, rounding the final corner. He kept the pressure up on Michael Folds the whole way through, and it paid off for him. Another win on the board for our championship leader, and magnificent drive indeed for the number 80. Folds is going to grab second place, and it looks like Mitchell Peak is safe from Michael Coates for third spot. But it's still on between Eugenio Polici, Lincoln Fox, Odyssey Adams, and Kyle Genski. 4-way battle for the last position in the top 5. And here's the opportunity here for Lincoln. Can he get a top 5? Recovering from his lap 1 spin. He does. He gets it. But it's going to be a drag race to the line. Can Polici get him back? Oh, it's almost a dead heat between the two of them. But Fox is just ahead.
Yep, 2/100ths of a second. They cross the line. Lincoln Fox ahead of Eugenio Polici, ahead of Odyssey Adams. Kyle Genski takes the open class win there. He snuck through a little later in that race when Peter Resorkis had the spin. And stayed ahead of Resorkis the whole time. He finished ahead of Mike Oswalt, Michael Chase there. So great battle in the mid-pack. And then the rest of the field coming through. Donnie Moffat plus 11 positions after his start from pit lane. And then we saw Mark Kruger ahead of Ray Lombardi, Jordy Fike. I was watching like a hawk. Was anyone going to pick up an incident point penalty on the final lap? Because Reese, you know what happens if you do that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You get time added to your ultimate race time, and that can really change the finishing order. What we have to do is wait another 2 minutes for the official race time to end, and then that penalty will be applied. So we may be able to go through our results on track before that point, but be aware that this could change at any time within the next 2 minutes.
Yeah. If someone picked up a black flag and we didn't see it, it'll be once the last car crosses the line. Paul Murgatroyd might have in fact gotten another one.
He did.
He did.
But no one else did, so I think these results will stand.
They will. A win for Joao Hedler, Michael Folds second, and then Mitchell Peak third. Michael Coates, Lincoln Fox, Eugenio Polici, and Odyssey Adams. Open class win going to Kyle Genski with Rory Coimbra 9th, and then Peter Resorkis second in his class there in the 10th position. Mike Oswalt, Michael Chase, Donnie Moffat, Mark Kruger, a podium in class for him. Ray Lombardi, Jordy Fike, Brian Tabelski, Rob Conahan, Paul Murgatroyd. Tough one for him, twice through the pit lane and then a time penalty post-race, but he's ahead of the retirements. Bobby Paul, Frankie Sugamelli, Jason Stalker, John Miller, and Nicholas Shepherd.
Yeah, shame for Shepherd. He barely even took the start, it seems. So not ideal for many drivers here, but it looks like we will have a couple of driver interviews to go through here, David. I'll leave it up to you to pick who.
Let's go to our open class winner. So Kyle Genski joins us. That was a pretty intense one for the open class. Resorkis led a lot of the way. Looked like he had you beat coming off pit lane, but then what a battle you were all involved with in that final stint.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that was it's crazy right off the pit stop. Like I came off with cold tires with Otis, I believe it was, and he got loose and we all kind of got bunched up right there, right off the pit. So that was crazy. And then the lap 1 incident as well, going into turn 11. That was It's wild. I can't believe I dodged both.
Pistons, Lions, or Red Wings?
Oh man. I gotta say Lions. If I'm thinking of the right Lions.
Okay, and then, I mean, the open class, we looked at the championship, super close. I mean, it's too early to be looking too closely at all of that stuff, but the battles and the racing that you guys get, you know, against Resorkis, against, you know, some of the others, Mark Kruger's come through for what it might be his first podium here in the class as well. It's going to keep you on your game for the remaining rounds.
Oh, absolutely. There's some really strong drivers in the field, as always, with Spec 5, so it's going to come down to the last couple of races, I'm sure, as always. And I know Logan wasn't here in this race, but he's going to be a huge contender at the end. So it's not done yet, but we're close.
Well, best of luck with the remaining races, including the oval to come up next time. And yeah, we'll see you there.
Oh, I'm so excited. I'm a huge oval guy, so maybe I'll have a podium there. We'll see. Can't wait.
So there we go, our open class winner. Let's see what we can do with our pro class winner, Brazilian native and Portuguese native speaker, João Hedler. We'll have same as last time, João, just some words, your language, okay?
Can you hear me?
Yes, João, we have you.
Bom, eu tô sem tradutor de novo, mas eu queria agradecer aí vocês. É sempre... It is a pleasure to race with you guys, and this championship is so good. And I love race with you guys. And agora eu vou falar em português porque eu não sei falar o resto, mas queria agradecer a equipe CFPM, agradecer a todo mundo aí. E muito obrigado. Thank you so much.
Parabéns.
Obrigado.
There we go, our race leader stopping by to give us his feelings post-race and accepts our congratulations. Well, Reese, I mean, Circuit of the Americas, a modern technical road course. Next week, Phoenix Oval 2008.
Oh God, I'm looking forward to it. You know, it's not often we get to see oval racing in MX5s, of course. Martinsville 500 taking place in the last 12 months or so. So hopefully a couple of these guys have run that and they can get a little bit of that oval racing nous for this next round of the championship. But Phoenix, a very challenging oval layout, and I'm sure that we're going to be seeing some very intense racing next week.
An exciting week next week on HJBC as we have round 2 of the Champ Car iRacing series and then the next round of Spec 5 World Tour as we leave the Circuit of the Americas, Reese. Did you know you can fit Texas into Western Australia 3.5 times?
Yes, in fact, I did know that because I am a geography nerd and I like looking at maps.
Queensland's twice the size of Texas as well. It's been great to be racing here. Our congratulations to the winners from both classes, João Hedler and Kyle Gensky. Please do subscribe to HJBC. We look forward to bringing you more racing action live next week.